apricots
soaked in honey.
Soaked in honey. And I was all like, you're kind of getting on my nerves right now. I just want to let you know that. And she does the thing that disarms me faster than anything else.
You're getting very vulnerable right now.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Band Yap. My name is Alexa Sanchez.
And I'm Jose Sanchez.
And we are driving on the way to TMEA. But this episode is special because this is our Valentine's episode. Happy Valentine's Day, Jose.
Happy Valentine's Day. I'm just trying to make sure we don't get Why do people live in Austin? I love Austin. I love the culture that is Austin.
It was rough.
But the traffic makes me not want to be here.
So,
shout out to anyone who wants to be in this traffic. I am not that person. I grew up on a farm. I grew up in the country. Slow pace. I live on island time. Right? Coastal Bend. Okay? Valley time, if you will. But this is not it.
Is the mascot for Texas A&M Corpus Christi the Islanders?
It is the Islanders.
Okay. Yeah, so if you hear any extraneous car sounds or / a baby crying, we've done our best. We have our audio set up, but,
we're in a car.
Band Yap on the go. Band Yap on the road.
Yes.
Hashtag TMEA 2025. So this is the Valentine's episode. We're just going to actually talk a lot about being married and what that's kind of like as we teach and our band directors and that kind of thing. But full disclosure, we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day. Jose's not a big, I don't want to say you're not a big gift person.
I am.
You're not
I am, but I'm not. And part of the reason for that is because, I grew up extremely poor. And when I say extremely poor, it was a weird generational kind of gap because we were so poor that we would have to boil pots of water in order to take baths at home and do those types of things. I'm surprised my grandmother didn't kill us at one point in time because she would light our propane oven and open it. And that's how we would have heater for our house.
That's wild.
And so gift giving and things like that just wasn't a thing, a huge thing.
Well, you never had big birthday parties or really even got a gift for your birthday because your birthday's also next to
Christmas. And they're like Jesus first. And I'm like, yeah, I can't argue with that. But that's kind of the issue with that. And I love you, Alexa. I love our relationship.
Oh, thanks.
But it just never was part of my DNA in that. And it's always been about service more than anything else. And I think that's kind of the same way that you operate. But you love gift giving.
I do love gift giving. And I would take a Valentine's Day gift. Not that you are going to get me anything.
I got you a new computer recently.
That's true. I did get a new computer. Last Mother's Day, I got a car, too. So I'm just on the big gift train.
And I also think that after you've been together with somebody for a while, the materialistic gifts kind of lose their oomph.
It's go big or go home now.
Yeah.
I got to, you got me a computer, and then the car was out of necessity because my transmission went out. But still, it was a nice upgrade.
Yeah, very, very much so, since we were expecting the third child.
Yes. I mean, it was a necessity. But anyway, all that to say, we're going to talk about being married. But just remember, we've said this previously, we don't have everything figured out. We have our own issues. We were going to record this podcast the other day, but we were fighting, so we didn't do it.
We were not fighting. We had a disagreement. And that's the other thing, is that
we fight.
Alexa and I are very, very, very different in the way we process our emotions and the way we communicate those emotions. And I think that's important for anyone in any type of relationship to understand. And a lot of times that gets lost. I used to be quick to anger. Just because, my Latin bloodline.
Yeah, you've really mellowed out, especially over the past, 5 years.
I think it's partially because of the kids.
I think so too.
And
you used to be a hothead.
A little bit, but I think that's also something that Steve Williamson had told me, and somebody had told him. Having kids made me a better teacher and a little bit more of a compassionate teacher, and that was something that you always get told things and you just never really process it until you're in that moment and you're doing those things. And now that we have the kids, I try to be a little bit more compassionate. I try to be a little bit more understanding, because I think about it in the aspect like, how do I want somebody to treat my kids if something eventually happens? But like the other night, Alexa did something that got on my nerves, and I voiced it. And I felt like I was very, very polite about it. And I was all like, "You're kind of getting on my nerves right now. I just want to let you know that." And she does the thing that disarms me faster than anything else.
You're getting very vulnerable right now.
Yeah, but she does something that disarms me, and I can't do it. If you ever just want to disarm me, start crying. Just start crying.
All right, you hear that, high school kids?
I cannot, like, automatically it goes straight to my soft spot, which there's a lot of soft spots on me, but my soft spot, and like I feel like I've lost whatever moral high ground or ground that I am standing on has gone, no longer there, because you start crying. Well, and it's just like, because
I cry a lot, to be fair.
And
I've cried like every day for the past like 4 days.
So I've been disarmed from my moment of like, feel this way. This is the way I'm going to feel. This is the way I'm going to execute this. Oh, and then you start crying, and I'm like, well, I'm just a jerk. And that's just because, like, culturally, where in my family, like, if you man, take off the gloves, we fighting. Like, we are fighting. And there's nothing about that was wrong in our
family. And I crumple under adversity, so that's where we differ.
Like, oh my goodness, like, bringing people home, you better be careful. I always used to warn people before they stepped in my house. I'm like, hey, just let you know, my uncle's here. He's sitting at the table. He might fire some shots off at you when you're walking through that door. And sure enough, boom, boom, boom. I mean, it was just like quips and everything. It's the same way, like, with family meals. If you didn't eat fast enough, you didn't eat.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it was.
And a lot of that stuff just like informs you for the rest of your life. Like, the things that you do are because that's just how it was when you were young.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the antithesis of our marriage, is like the way we both process conflict and displeasure with one another, and that's something that we continuously work on in our marriage. And this is like a very therapeutic episode for us, so hang on really tight. I feel
like now, like, our marriage is probably stronger than it ever has been in the history of our 10 years. So, but that's also come with a lot of work and a lot of issues and a lot of just committing to each other over and over again. But
I have not enjoyed all of the growth that has gone into our relationship, but I appreciate the outcome that it is now.
Well, that's process over product.
Yeah, thanks, John. So to get a little bit more backstory, we met in Waco Community Band. We've said that before in a previous episode.
There's several people too that met in the Waco Community Band.
Yeah, there's so many people that got married from the Waco Community Band.
Wiley and Paige, right?
Yeah, Wiley Gore, who's over at Robinson High School, and his wife met there. The Hamiltons.
Oh yeah, Asa and Alice. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they were also Waco Community Band products. I don't know if they were products but
I don't know either. But they've played in the community band together for a long time.
Yeah, I used to say the Hamiltons from Hamilton because they used to work at Hamilton ISD. And there's several other.
There are other. I feel bad right now that I'm blanking, but I know that there are others.
Yeah, there were several. Because Steve and Robin used to play in the ensemble, but they didn't meet there.
But we met there, as in I was a percussionist and Jose was a tuba player, and I think we've talked about this before. But you kept emptying your spit on the tile floor.
It's water. It's water. It's condensation.
So anyway, and I kept having to roll equipment through it, which just really drives it home. But one day I just like piped up and was like, "Can you just not?" I said, like, "I'm gonna buy you a ShamWow."
Yeah, I never saw that sham wow.
10 years later. Happy 10th anniversary. Here's your
Sham
sham wow. No, but that was pretty much it. And then I slid into his DMs, and then our first date was it. First of all, I kept playing hard to get, and Jose kept asking me out, and I kept saying no.
And I eventually gave her an ultimatum.
And I said, okay. I was just scared.
I told her, I was like,
I didn't think you would be into me.
Well, I asked you out 3 times, and on the 3rd time,
he said, and this is back in his hothead era. He was like, we either go out, or I'm never going to talk to you again.
No, I didn't say that. I said, I will never ask you out ever again. So
I went out with him. Our first date, and we never talk about this because I don't really care. You seem to care. But our first date was on Halloween, and we went to Ninfa's.
Staple in Waco, yes.
Yeah, and then ever since then, we've just been together.
Yeah.
It was a good time. We've been together ever since. I was going to tell you something else, but I don't remember what it was. So we started dating when Jose was at Wortham, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, 9 years over at Gatesville, 3 years over at Robinson, so about 13 years ago now.
Yeah, we've been together for, oh wow. We've been together for 13 years almost.
Yeah, she still hasn't poisoned me.
Well, there's still time.
Yep. But I used to make the hour-long drive to Wortham. Actually, it was 50 minutes because I lived in Waco still, and I would drive 50 minutes out to Wortham, and Alexa would sometimes tag along to football games or different things. I went on
one of your trips one time.
Yep, you went on a band trip. Yep.
My favorite memory though is, I guess you were just really excited. It was one of our first few dates. But we were going to go out and get sushi, but it was a big deal. We were going on a sushi date, and so you came and got me or whatever, and we went, and then Jennifer Capers called you and was like, "There's a band booster meeting."
I forgot about that.
And we were out eating sushi, and so Jose had to sit on the phone for the band booster meeting because he was a young teacher and forgot that existed.
I was more excited about the date than what I was.
Which is really sweet, and I don't think it was that big of a deal. They didn't. No. It wasn't a big deal, but it was just funny. Jose was so excited about sushi that he.
I wasn't excited about the sushi. I was excited about being on a date with you.
Well, that's sweet.
But we've kind of grown together. Alexa has been one of the greatest supporters of my career, and just kind of the growth of who I am as a person, as a band director. She was a real champion for me through that, and that's a big question we get asked is one, how is it being together with another band director? And I think first and foremost, the thing that has helped us in our relationship is just understanding what the job is. And I think that gets lost a whole lot. And you being a band director definitely has helped that process. But I think that people who are outside the profession don't quite understand what being a band director is, for better or for worse, and the time commitment and the emotional drain that kind of puts on all of us.
I think that it is very difficult, and there's many people that do it, obviously, so it's very successful for some people. But where things get a little bit gray is if you are with someone that is not a band director, that has never been involved in that, it's really hard to understand the life that we lead. And just kind of the commitments that we have to make and the seasons that we have. And it's not necessarily that it's impossible to understand or anything like that, but sometimes people don't realize basically what we undertook when we decided our profession. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of talk about burnout and that kind of thing. That's not really what I trying to get into, but it's what the job is, and people make more or less of it as they can and as they should. But at the end of the day, there is a level of commitment that's different than other professions.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm really good friends with our head football coach, and this also plays into this type of topic. But our head football coach has been very successful. He made 3rd round of playoffs this year. Has built a culture in that program that is really, really, really great. And he's deciding to step away from the profession because he is looking at it from an aspect of like what he wants to do for his family and how much he wants to be there for his family, and like how like his job and the W's and L's can ultimately affect his wife, his children, and all those things. And so he's taken it upon himself to depart from the profession, and which like makes me sad, because he is such a good educator. He's a good football coach. He's a good role model for students. Like those types of things. We've had several discussions about culture and like getting everybody on the same page and representing the ISD together as a united front versus individualistic ideas. Um, but like he's taken the moment to really go, I'm going to do what's best for my family and drawing those boundaries. And I think that's something that's super important for every single band director to kind of look at. And, you know, the job is going to be the job. And if you want to be great at this job, yeah, it's going to take time. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take some sacrifices, but at what level of sacrifice are you willing to commit to that? Talking to like Steve and Robin Williamson, they've been married for.
We got to get them on the podcast.
Yeah, they've been married for a long time, and they have two children. One of them's going to be is a band director, and the other is a speech pathologist. Mm-hmm. And she just recently got married. Congratulations, Kayla.
Chris got married too.
Chris got married. Oh my goodness, they both married doctors. Good for them. But having discussions with Steve, it was always like, I want to be successful, but not at the sacrifice of my personal life and my family. And that's where it's hard because we want to be great.
Well, I will say, like, there are discussions to be had about efficiency and extraneous things, and that's, for a different time. But our family will always come first. It's just that sometimes our family is also intertwined with band. Mm-hmm. And that's just how it is. And people ask me, somebody asked this on our Instagram story, but basically, like, how do you kind of make sacrifices here and there, but when do you also like take the spotlight? Like, when does your career take precedence? And my answer to that is that Jose has been a band director longer than I have. He's honestly a better band director than I am.
I don't know about that.
Well, I will say that there's been more sacrifice probably on my end as far as like, okay, like this is Jose's big time. Like this is what he's going to state marching contest or whatever. Like I do a lot of that kind of sacrificing.
And I acknowledge that sacrifice, and I'm going to tell you, like, I feel bad whenever you feel like you're second fiddle to the job. I mean, I do. But you also understand that the work and the job and like those types of things are also part of my DNA.
Yeah.
And kind of what kind of workhorse I am.
Well, not everyone's built the same way. And so this is probably a polarizing conversation for some people because I've had people ask straight up, how do you work with your husband? Like, I would never be able to do that. And the answer is, this wouldn't have been true like 10 years ago. But we're compatible in that way. And I've said this before, but we kind of pick up where the other leaves off. But all that to say, it is not for everyone. And if you think that you would not be able to work with your spouse, you're probably correct.
I mean, I said that when I first got to Batesville.
You did, but now we've evolved. That was 9 years ago.
So, and like, that was also the interesting thing because when you started teaching, you interviewed at Gatesville before I was the head director, and
I did not get the job.
You did not get the job, and then like 2 months later,
yep.
I got the head director job.
Yep.
And so we could have been working together this whole time.
I honestly, genuinely believe it all worked out how it should.
So,
but also, for me, like that was when I was first starting to teach, and I would not have been productive with you at that point in time. Like I work well with you now because of the teacher that I am now, but you probably wouldn't have been able to handle that as like me, a young teacher doing everything wrong, and you trying to like be a head director.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's a certain amount of trust that I have in you that like I don't have with everyone. I trust my staff. I trust them wholeheartedly, but the trust that I have in you is just different because
Well, yeah.
well, I mean, we have children together. We go home. I mean, we spend all our time together.
But I think that that's something too. We don't spend as much time together as people think.
I don't
We
know
don't.
about
Well,
that.
we don't spend all day together.
No, we don't.
I don't see you very much.
I mean, the nice thing is I see you more than what I used to.
That's true. But I don't. We don't even ride to work together because it doesn't work with dropping off the kids when your rehearsal is starting. So we don't. I mean, we don't do that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think it's a polarizing conversation because people are like, "Well, why would you sacrifice that for him and whatever?" And it's just like, you know what? The answer is that's what works for us. So drink your own cup of tea. But you know, our family is first. But we make this work. And there are stuff that people, like including our families, will never understand. Like, Jose, you just had a baby a week ago, and now you're at the state marching contest. What is that like? And it's like, well, my wife is at home watching 100 hours of the state marching contest.
And then right after, so I think one of the things that has definitely helped us in our marriage and our relationship is that I am somebody who needs clear cut boundaries, and that it's just like the same thing with the reminder thing on our phones.
Yes.
You upload a reminder, and I have to check the box. I have to do it, and I think
which is very productive.
Yes, thank. I'm glad we decided to start doing that, even with our family. It's been fantastic. But just like we have an agreement, and I have started doing this, and I've been better about this, and not just saying yes, because I'm also like a yes man. Like I want to make money. I want to be busy. I want and Alexa knows this about me, is that once
you don't have an off switch.
Yeah.
That's something that Brian said about himself. Like, he doesn't have an off switch, and neither do you.
Yeah, but when I do hit an off switch, it is so hard to get my switch to come back on.
Yeah, that is true.
And it's just like that. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm always on, is because I know the struggle that it is to like turn it back on. And like people are like, oh, you know, I need my downtime. I need this. I need that.
I'm more of that than you are.
Yeah, and I'm just not.
Yeah.
I'm not. Like there are moments in like days where I just need my silence. Yeah. And I need that kind of focus time, but it's not like off time.
Well, we talk on the phone a lot. Like, you and I talk on the phone a lot, just like when you're driving and stuff, because our commute is 30 minutes. But even like last night, you went to Judge and you had a drive back that was maybe an hour. And at one point, you just said, I need to like defrag for a second before I come home, so I'm gonna hang up now. I'm like, that's fine. That's not a big deal. I just listen to a podcast when that happens. But yeah, that's not gonna be for everyone, and people don't understand that. But
and so I think just kind of like in our relationship, the thing that has worked is like one, just a clear communication, and it's like it's easier said than done.
And that's something we've developed over time because there have been lots of issues with that.
Oh yeah, because I work for Baylor in an aspect of like, hey, I run the recreational facility on the weekends. And yes, the people who might know me that would listen to this podcast, I still work for that facility. I worked there as an undergrad. When they found out that I was staying in the area, they asked me if I wanted to stay on during the weekends.
You've just done it forever.
Yeah, I've done it forever. I've been working there since 2006. Wow. And it's they treat me well. They've given me the allotment to pick my hours, and I have a permanent shift, and it's easy money. It's easy for me to do. It keeps me connected with younger people. That's how I feel like I keep young with the college age students. But like that also gives me time to do score study, marching band video review, and just kind of prep for the week. And I build a plan based off of that allotment of time that I might not get at home because I have a 4-year-old. I have two 4-year-olds who think
not one but two.
Yeah, well, not one but two. Two 4-year-olds who think as soon as Daddy lays down,
Jungle Gym.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna get elbow dropped.
Yep.
You know, Jonah Paul likes to just drop elbows on me from a distance. And it's just not a fun time for my kidneys because
we need to talk about the twins.
We'll come back to them in a little bit.
Okay.
But I think setting the boundaries. So now, and then I also work for Baylor Athletics as a PA announcer. which is like a weird job. I don't know how I got it. Actually, I know how I got it. It was just right place, right time. But now I sit down with Alexa before I accept any type of job, any type of clinic, any type of anything. And I check in with her. And honestly, I check in with my staff a whole lot.
Yeah.
Just to be like, hey, would this put y'all in a bind? Hey, with this. And I think that's just a common courtesy that we often forget about. But like, talking to Alexa about like, hey, is it okay? Is there any of these things that you do not want me to do? And she used to always really feel bad about me, like her telling me no, about no, I would really like you not to take this job. Or
there's only a few times that happens.
Yeah, and but you would always feel really bad and guilty because you could see in me that I was like maybe a little irritated by that. And I had to explain to you, like, no, it's fine. I go, I'm going to be irritated because that's just the way I'm going to feel, but I'm going to get over it and I'm not going to resent you about it, but I'm just going to feel that way because, like, I want to work. I want to make money. I want to support our family in that way. And it's that sacrifice of, like, oh, that time versus the financial support. Yeah. And that's a hard balance because you are very much a time-centered, like, spend the time with me, just, sit next to me, next to the couch, those types of things. And I'm not necessarily that kind of person.
No. It's like your love language.
Yeah.
Also, if you are an Enneagram person, Jose is a 3 and I'm a 2. And so Jose is an achiever. And I don't know how much anyone gives credit to those types of things, but when you look at the things that are the characteristics for that Enneagram type, that is you.
I still have not taken that test.
I know. You don't need to. I'm just telling you.
I
should. Need to take
I should take that test. I think everyone who's in, before you get into a couple or, marriage or anything, like, take it and, like, just lay it all out.
Well, mine for a long time was confused, like, whether or not I was a 2 or a 6, but I'm a 2.
I still, you're throwing numbers at me.
I know. You don't know what that means. I don't. It's okay. It's all right.
And so, I think that's been one of the biggest things that has helped us in our marriage and our relationship is just like you setting boundaries for me. Yeah. Because, like, I have a vision, I have a goal, and I'm one of those kind of people, like,
you have blinders on.
Oh, the 100%. And that's the whole entire, like, thing where you're like, when you get an email, you have to pay attention. It's because I have blinders on.
Yeah, you do.
But I think that's one of the biggest things is communicating that. And I think with band directors and people and having relationships with somebody who is outside of profession, just establishing, like, those types of things and having those boundaries, I think that is crucial to like the success of that relationship. Just because we will live in the band hall, that's our passion. That's that's what we signed up for.
Also, people sign up for the career and then they actually realize what it is and they realize it's not for them. And that's fine too. But it is hard to be successful and just kind of skirt through the responsibilities. Yeah. Just like with any profession. But I think it's interesting. My mom pointed this out to me. Like I said, it's not for everyone to work with their spouse, but my sister and her husband also work together. Completely different fields, but I guess that's just like a family thing now.
I think one of the other things that really gets brought up a whole lot is now that we get work together, what's that dynamic like? And how do we make it work right now?
Well, I'm not, okay, and this is just, again, back to, like, personalities. I'm not the confrontational, I'm not the face of the program. And I don't want to be the face of the program. But you are, and you do. So you have the skills that I don't want or have.
I barely want to be the face of the program.
Well, somebody has to do it. No, you have the most facial hair. Yeah. So, do you have? I guess you do.
No, Corbin has some. Yeah.
Well, yeah. You have the most.
But I think that is something that is very, very. I think one of the things that helps us with working together is that I allow you to do your job.
Yes, you don't step on my toes, and sometimes you, like, stay so far away that it's like did you enjoy that? Like, am I doing okay? Um, but yeah, you just let me do me. And then when you need something, you tell me. Like, hey, can you make this thing on Canva? Sure. Not a big deal.
And I think that's one of the benefits of us working together, and I think that's just like a head director thing.
So
And I know that like I'm a control freak in certain
you are a
ways,
control freak.
and
That would get on some people's nerves too.
yeah.
So if you're also a control freak, maybe think about that.
But I let my staff do what they need to do, and I point it in the right direction. I make my comments, and I like give them guidance, but I am not.
The only way we learn though is by failure. And so sometimes you let people fail. You let all of us fail at some point in time. You've done that with every single person on the staff. You've done it with student teachers. That's the only way you learn.
Yeah, and that might be for better or for worse.
Well,
but
how else are you going to learn though?
Yeah.
If everything's perfect and all the time, like, and I said earlier, I crumple under adversity. I just basically mean confrontation. But like, I I do things all the time, and I'm like, that wasn't very good, and you're like, no, it wasn't, but this is maybe what you should try, or whatever it is. Because if everything's perfect, then you don't learn this, like, any sort of coping skills or any sort of adjustment skills.
Yeah. Well, it's just like same thing. We had a student teacher who I still like really love, great person. I'm not gonna say their name, just to,
I hate them. Just kidding. I know who you're talking
but
about.
I allowed this person. This person was doing a fantastic job student teaching.
And this person is a fantastic teacher now.
Yes, absolutely fantastic. Uh, love them, love them. But they were student teaching with us, and the students really loved them, all these types of things. And we got into the time of the year where it was their turn to step up onto the podium with the top ensemble, because we go to UIL in early March, if
Like
not
the
late
first week of
February.
March.
And so they didn't have a lot of like podium time. They did a lot of sectionals. They helped out with the other ensemble. They did a lot of great things that way. So it was time for them to have more podium time with the top ensemble. And so I'm like, all right, you know what this band is capable of. You've heard them at UIL. You've done this, you've done that. I want you to go through and pick a piece of music that you feel is going to be like acceptable or going to be attainable by this group, and I'm going to let you teach it like it is your ensemble.
Which, first of all, learning to pick music for an ensemble is a huge skill to overcome as a young teacher. I felt that way. I don't know if everyone feels that way. I, like, the first few times I had to pick music for an ensemble, I was like, what do I do?
Yeah,
like,
well, that's
I
where
don't know what to do.
that over programming thing
Yes,
like
exactly.
hit real fast. But I let them pick, and I'm like, okay, you will be able to teach it. You're going to have this day, and you're going to have these rehearsals and this time. And we outlined it that way while I let them step on the podium and teach. And they start going, and it's Undertow. Undertow?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Undertow.
John Mackey.
John Mackey. We love John Mackey. Be on the podcast. And it is a crash and burn situation. And I let them like have the ensemble that way. And I explained to the students, like, hey, this is a learning situation for them just as much as it is for you, because they have to learn how to be a teacher. So that's the way it is. And crash and burn, I can tell they're starting to get frustrated. So I ask, I'm like, would you like me to step in and show you how I would do this? And they say yes. And I go through my sequence, and automatically they can play. And the student teacher is so frustrated, and they ask like, how'd you get them to do that? I'm like, well, one, I'm in front of them all the time. Two, I'm just older, so therefore I know different tricks than you.
Yeah.
And so you going through that process, it's just you're going to develop it. I go, you have such a great ear. You're doing a great job. Uh, don't overcomplicate things. And I think that's something, even with our relationship and our marriage, don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Just the nitty gritty. But I think that's something that me as a head director and technically quote unquote the boss, I let everyone do what they need to do where they're comfortable in their lanes, and then try to get them to point them in the right direction of like, hey, might be something else that you need to be doing, and kind of expand their full range of pedagogy.
Well, let's just pedagogy. Michael Hamilton's favorite word is pedagogy. Let's talk about like what you do and what I do. Okay, so you do a lot of paperwork because we've talked about this before. This is not new information. If you've listened to like the first episode, but you do a lot of money and a lot of calendar and a lot of meetings.
Yes.
On top of your teaching things. So those are like your big responsibility. I do a lot of junior high.
Yes.
And then as kind of like, I don't know, auxiliary, I do a lot of like writing type things for us, a lot of design or graphic type things for us, and just kind of, whatever housekeeping type things we need to do. So those two things don't necessarily intersect. So
yeah, I mean, my big responsibility is to look at the overall progression of the program, and getting you on staff has taken quite a few things off my plate.
Yeah.
And so that's helped me, because now like your main responsibility is actually just like really focusing on junior high, and there are a couple of different schools of thought. And I know like the old school like hardcore band directors are like the point of I've said this too, but like the point of junior high band is to get them into high school band. Like you might not like that, you might have your own opinions about that, and my scope and my vision of that is morphing, is that it's not just about getting junior high kids into high school band. I think in junior high is the most crucial time to get kids to love band. Period.
I think that's exactly right, and that's a lot of people do what you said, and like when they recruit, because you recruit for sixth grade. But yes, when people recruit in sixth grade, they're like, well, when you're in high school, you'll get to do this. And when you're in high school, you'll get to do this. And that's all fine and dandy. Like, that's great. We do a lot of things in high school. But their sole existence is not to be a, like, clone that is eventually going to just be in the high school band.
Yeah, and that's where that conversation of recruitment versus retention happens. And I know there's another podcast that has done an episode on recruitment and retention. Shout out Darcy over at After Sectionals and that team. I mean, they're fantastic. The difference is between our two programs is that one, they're an honor band program. So step one. Step two is that they are purely a middle school program. And then step three, they are a very large school program. Yeah. And we are a small school. We teach everything. And it's just a little bit different because like if our junior high program and our beginner program are subpar, our high school will be at subpar. I mean, you can say the same thing for those programs, but like with those junior high situations, once they leave the high school, I mean, they're gone. Well,
that's the thing too, is that, and we've just talked about this, but that is very much the thing that I'm trying to do, is just get them in the band hall. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what you do next year, like just come be in the band hall. I like being in the band hall. I want you to like being in the band hall for as long as you're here. But I think if you just kind of facilitate a love for music and a love for band and just create an environment that kids want to be in, then that is its own recruiting and retention skill.
Yeah. And that was like something for me that was very developmental. Like, and the reason why I had issues with some coaches, and this is the reason why I try really hard with our students to accommodate anything and everything that they can do. Because when I was in junior high, we used to have mandatory band sectionals, and it was rotating. I can't remember how it was. That was so long ago. But I got hurt in the athletics period, and I was transported over to the high school so that the athletic trainer could take a look at my hand because I'd sliced open my thumb, and to take a look and tell me whether or not I really needed to go get stitches. I did have to go get stitches, and so I was getting into the truck of like the coach that was going to take me across town. And he goes, Sanchez, I yelled to one of my friends. I'm like, hey, can you please tell Mrs. Ocañez I'm not going to be at sectionals because I am
My hand is sliced open.
Yeah. And this is something that stuck with me forever and a day. That when I got into that truck and we were going over to the next campus to go look at, my coach asked me, Sanchez, why do you even bother with band? And me being a junior high kid, not knowing any better and how this would affect me going forward in my athletic prowess, well, I told him straight to his face, I go, Coach, I love athletics. I love being in football. I love that kind of stuff, but I will probably get much further in band than what I will ever in athletics. And from that point on, he treated me differently because I was real with him in that one moment.
Because you didn't give your heart and soul and existence to only one thing.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I tell the kids, like, when you're here, I want you to be here. I want you to be in the moment. Those types of things, and that's the same thing in our in our marriage that I have to consistently work on because, like, I think about the future so much because I'm thinking about the growth of our program, the growth, and I worry about my job so much and the job and the experience of students that sometimes, like, it's taken away from us, and I have to keep myself accountable on that. But like that whole entire situation has developed me in a way that I can't replace because I want to give our students that experience without ever feeling pressure from me. Now, once again, that's not saying, hey, we have boundaries and that like this is our protected time and this is where you need to be, but I will never punish a student for being involved in another activity. Like, well, one of the things that we're discussing right now is like our time that we use in marching band or how often we practice. And like there's a misconception a lot with like how much marching band takes and how much summer or before school started. I'm like, one, like it is what it is. It takes what it takes. But like understanding that like there is a small time frame that we will ask of you and then what we do with that time frame and then sending you on your way. But if you have like a football practice, how are we going to accommodate that football practice and how are we going to accommodate that in doing those types of things? Because like in our last episode with Brian, he said, if you draw that line and you make them really choose, you're probably not going to like the choice that it is.
Yeah. I just like, and I tell kids this to their face. If someone is making you choose and they are telling you things about a different organization or a different program that they are not a member of, they likely are not doing it in the best interest of the student. They're doing it because they want to keep the student in their program. And that's ultimately might not be what's best for the student.
Yeah, and it's just like tearing down something that like somebody might enjoy or love. I mean, it's like that whole entire saying. And
like that. That honestly happens a lot, and other kids do it to other kids too. It's like,
which makes it infinitely worse when an adult does it to a student.
Yeah, like if kids are gonna do it, whatever. But I don't feel like that's our place as an adult. And I'll tell them, look, if you want to go do this, that's great. I support you. Just let me know how we can make it work to where you can be here too, because I love you and I want to be around you, and I want you to keep doing this because you're good at it. Or even if you're not good at it, I like having you here, and I want you to feel like you have a place here. So I don't appreciate when other adults tell kids that because most of the time they're wrong, and also most of the time it doesn't work to the advantage of the student. So that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, it's just really difficult. But I think that mindset of having you on on the staff and you
kind of shifted a little bit.
Sorry, got on a soapbox and just went off to the races.
Happy Valentine's Day, guys.
But having that you on the staff and you being here has kind of helped me just have a reawakening of my idea of junior high band. And it's not about just getting them into high school band. Yes, I want them in high school band, but it's about really making them fall in love with music and the vehicle that band is for that.
Yes. And I always tell kids too, I want you to be in band because you like it and because I feel like it teaches you so many things that you might not get in other activities. Because we've said this before, but neither of us would be where we are now if it wasn't for band. But a lot of the skills that I have from band are not music related. Many of those skills. And this is preaching to the choir of like band directors listening.
Yeah, you're preaching to the band.
I'm preaching to the band. Sorry. The skills that I have and the skills that band teaches that has taught me are mostly unrelated to music. And so I just tell kids like I want you to have those skills too because you might not end up learning them anywhere else.
So
They just make you a better person.
So let's talk about our relationship and how we handled things when we were not working in the same location. What things did we struggle with in the beginning parts of our relationship, as you as an early teacher and me, and not the later phases of my
wow, the end phases of your career.
What do you feel like were some of the things that were difficult? I mean,
just a lot of overlapping things, like events and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's nice now is like, I don't know, I always kind of felt like I was not left out because I didn't have anything to do with it. But like when you would get to go do fun things with your band, I was not a member of it, even though I enjoyed whatever it was you were doing. But I was always just kind of like, well, I want to be that. I want to go to that and be with those people, that kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but now I get to watch the high school marching band rehearse and just kind of like take part in all of those things that I was just kind of like sidelined for, and now I just get to be there, and it's nice. I like doing that.
Yeah, during our early parts of our marriage and work, I always felt horrible about going to marching contests on Saturdays, yeah, and leaving you behind.
Well, also for many years, I had to work the marching contest that you would go to, which was like cool and not cool because it was just a mess most of the time. Or I would like walk up to you in the parking lot and you're
getting onto a flute player about forgetting her flute,
or getting onto a kid about not having any shoes, that kind of thing.
And that was always like a hard thing because where people during the fall got to spend time together on Saturdays, our relationship took a hit.
Well, that also got a lot harder after we had kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's still hard, but it's way better. Well, it's way better to be in the same place for marching season.
And that's one of the things that like I've had to grow a tougher skin about, because doing some contests and things like that, some people don't realize the sacrifice that you make as a director within your own family. And that was really difficult for me because there for a hot second, while we were trying to make the push to evolve our marching program and get over the hump, as far as, hey, we want to be competitive. We don't want to just be successful anymore. We want to be competitive. Yeah. Like I got raked over on Facebook about like how I treated the kids horribly and that they had to be at marching contests all day and things like that. Mm-hmm. And there's a photo of our kids in the press box at a contest, at the contest you used to help with, and they're pressed against the window, and they're what, a year old?
Yeah, something like that.
A little over a year old, and those, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, those are the times I'm sacrificing that time with my kids to be with your kids, and like you're gonna call me, scum of the earth because like I'm wanting to motivate and push our program. And I'm gonna be honest, like that rocked me. That made me think about leaving the profession and me just doing some self-evaluating in a way that wasn't good for me. And I talked to my superintendent about it. I talked to my principal about it, and it really hurt my feelings. And yes, I have feelings, but like I'm sacrificing the time for my own well-being with my family and our marriage, and to be with other people's kids and give them a experience that you know will create memories and create hopefully better people by like learning determination, sacrifice, all these types of things. And that I mean, that work life balance is like super important, but like life still has to move forward. And like that's something that I don't talk about very often, just because like that hurt me in a way that I'm not proud that it hurt me, because it is what it is, and I should not allow other people to dictate the way I feel in those moments, because I am also affecting 100 plus kids and like their experience. But I think some of those things that were early on in our marriage, and I was very thankful to Bob Better about including you in our experiences over at Robinson.
Yeah.
And
Bob was great about that.
Yeah, I mean, you went to Branson.
Yeah, I did get to go to
You
Branson.
got
That
to
was
go to
fun.
Branson, and you got to hang out with my band family and be a part of that.
Yeah, Bob was really great about all of that.
And so just help fostering like our relationship and allowing that to happen. So I think that was kind of important. And then when I shifted over to being a head director over at Gatesville, I mean, how did you feel like it shifted from me being an assistant over at Robinson?
I mean, it is way different. It's like the same, but it's different, and you take on more responsibility. And so there was a whole segment of time where, like you were talking about earlier, kind of just taking a sideline to whatever was happening. And that is very true.
Yeah. And like I said, I always felt bad. I might not have discussed it with you.
Yeah, I know.
Or said it, because like I hated being vulnerable in that.
Yeah.
And just like be like, hey, I feel horrible about this. And even though I should have, because that probably would have strengthened our relationship even faster.
Well, you live and learn on that kind of stuff. It's not like you.
And I know that you have put my career probably more in the forefront than what kind of I have for yours.
Yeah.
And that might just
that is true though.
But that might be also part of a situation, because like you have been an assistant middle school director for X amount of years.
Well, that's not even something though that I wouldn't let that happen if I wasn't okay with it. You know what I mean? I understand the sacrifices that I make. I'm not complaining about that in any way. I'm just saying, like, that is the role that I have chosen to occupy. And that's just part of it. I don't feel bad about it.
But I always try to keep you in the loop. Like, I felt bad about this. So I'm a glutton for punishment. So had the baby on area marching contest. State marching contest is coming up the following week. Yeah. We had like a week buffer. But back in April of that same year, in 2024, I was asked to do a Team EA middle school band clinic. Yes. For a day and a half. And I'm like,
you knew what week it was on. Yeah, we both did. I said yes.
And so like I looked at, I'm like, are you sure? Can I take this opportunity? And that's what it is. It's an opportunity to make some type of impact on.
And I like that you get to go do those things.
Yeah, and that's like my happy area. And I think that's the other thing that you realize is that like band is my happy spot. Yeah. Even though it creates a certain amount of rage in me, it's definitely my happy spot, and teaching and
it's your passion.
Yeah. And but like we had discussed it, and I'm like, okay, this is around the time that you're having a baby. Like, is this okay? And you said yes, because you wanted me to take that opportunity and take that moment. And so get done with state marching contest, get back on a Thursday, and then that Friday I'm teaching, doing a Team EA clinic and concert on a Friday, Saturday. Yeah. So I was gone Tuesday through Saturday. Yeah. With you having the newborn, and I felt horrible about it. But it actually also gave us some financial support that we desperately needed at that point in time.
Having kids is expensive.
Yes. Daycare. Woof.
Yes.
Woof. So that, I think that's some of the things that like we've been very good about, is like having that open line of communication, and you putting my career first has definitely been a blessing and a curse. Just because.
Why? Because I'm not a good teacher.
No, you're a great teacher. You're really good. But like I'm getting a few more phone calls than what I did earlier in my career.
Yeah, that's true.
Just about judging opportunities or clinic opportunities. And even with some of the clinics that I give free of charge. Yeah. Through mentorship. and you.
Yeah, if you want to be Jose's, if you need a mentor, contact Jose.
I won't do all of them free, but like I've done a few free ones because like I also realize like some programs are not financially blessed. And like honestly, I just want to help out to a certain degree.
You just like band. That's really all it is. You like band, and then that's why we have a podcast because we like talking about band.
Yeah, and
so
and that comes back again to like what band has taught me, like giving back, like give back, and that's a conversation I try to instill with my seniors. And that's a hard thing, is because like seniors, they've been in it for X amount of years, they're getting to the end of their phase, and like having them understand like part of their role as seniors is giving back to the program, the legacy of it. And I think like programs like Robinson and China Spring and all these other Tenaha, Shiner, like all these groups, like they have fantastic band programs. And part of that is just having those seniors give back and just understand it. And I think that's also very similar to what we have to do in our relationship, in our marriage, is give back to our marriage.
You're only going to get out of it what you put back in.
Yeah. And that's why, like, for us, and I've gotten better about this over the years, but we talk about band at home.
We do in spurts.
Yes, but we also don't. I think you have actually gotten worse about talking about band.
I think so too, but it's just like sometimes, like I said, we don't always see each other during the day, and it's like, oh, I meant to tell you that. Like, I got to tell you now. Like, it just came to mind. Yeah. But we're not terrible about it. We actually have shared interests with each other than band.
Yeah, like barbecue. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. We love barbecue. We're foodie
that needs its whole a whole podcast episode. Yes. We don't have time to talk about that.
We've stood, how many times have we stood in line at Franklin's?
Ooh, like I don't know, 6.
Like we've stood in that line several times. We've done Snow's barbecue before. There's
our favorite local barbecue is Hellberg Barbecue outside of Waco. And Phil marched quads for the Woodlands.
Yeah, he's salty. No pun intended.
I saw a picture like that they posted of their son wearing his letter jacket, and he casually has like a BOA Grand Nats patch on his letter jacket. Yeah. So. Yeah. He makes real good barbecue though. So go visit them.
Yeah, Hellberg Barbecue.
Do you want to talk about the twins?
Yes.
Okay. So we had the twins during COVID. So we found out that we're having twins in February of 2020, and then the entire world shut down in March of 2020, and then they were born in August. So when they were born, they were in the NICU for 2 weeks, and that's when all of like the weird like football season and marching band stuff was happening. So I think I have a picture of Jose somewhere like holding one of the babies in the NICU and watching a Gatesville football game on his phone, which is probably one of the only football games you've ever missed in your career. You've only missed a few of them.
Yeah, there's been very few. Yeah, I was watching the halftime to make sure everything was going okay. Yeah. And then Alexa, like we were in the hospital, and it's the beginning of marching season. Yes. And so I want to make sure everything is going well.
Because everything also got pushed back because of COVID.
Yeah, area marching contest in December. Never again, please.
Yes.
That was horrible.
It was something.
Horrible. But so we're in the NICU waiting, and I asked Alexa, "Hey, can I go to Monday night rehearsal?"
That was when they were still in the hospital. Yeah, right? It's kind of a blur. Like I said, having 2 4-year-olds and a newborn, very different than having 2 newborns. Jose would not have been able to leave for basically a week if we had newborn twins. Like it is honestly, and I know. First of all, I guess it's a Baylor Percussion Studio thing. Jose and I have twins, and 3 of my studio mates from my time at Baylor have twins. So that is crazy in its own right. But
they need to check those practice rooms.
I don't know. There's
the Baylor practice rooms.
There's 4 sets of twins.
Specifically, the percussion practice rooms.
4 sets of twins.
4 sets of twins from the same studio.
So that's weird. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's kind of like a blur. And I know that Stephanie's Luca will tell you this too. It's almost like you have amnesia or something from their newborn year, or not newborn years, but newborn like months, because with our new baby Joel, there are things that I'm sure I did with the twins, and I'm like, how did I do that? Because I feel like I'm learning how to do this again. But it's just like a blur. And that was just like a really crazy period of time, because it was like COVID, and then you doing area marching band in December, like you said. Like, what is that? And then just having twins.
Just having children.
It's in general, it just like, it completely changes your life.
Well, and like understanding the time commitment outside of your normal day and making sure you have a good support system around you is like pivotal.
Yeah, and I will say too, like, not all band directors are like, this is kind of like harsh. Not all people in the profession are like supportive of you having a family.
Yeah.
And that's just true. And I mean, I personally don't appreciate that, but that's just how I wanted to live my life, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to make it work within my profession.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of like great band directors who just step away from the profession because like,
it's hard.
It is hard,
and it's seemingly impossible sometimes.
Yeah, and like where do you want to put your eggs at? You know, do you want to put them in your family, or do you want to put them in your band, or how are you going to divvy up those eggs? Like, which one's going to give and which one's going to take?
Yes.
And like each one of them is going to have their own like amount that you pull from.
I also, though, I love having the twins in the band hall, especially the other day. Jose was playing tuba in a rehearsal, and the twins were there eating lunch, because they offer childcare like while we have PD, and we were having a rehearsal. So we were in the office, they're eating lunch, but Jose's in the rehearsal playing tuba, and Eleanor is on this like loop. She leaves the office out of one door, goes and gives Jose a hug, and then comes in through the other door. And she repeated that maybe like 10 times or something. And it was just so funny. And then after that, she's been saying she wants to play guitar. And I keep trying to explain to her, like, I support you playing guitar. But if you want to be in marching band when you're older, we don't typically have those in marching band. But after she saw Jose playing tuba, she was like, no, I want to play the tuba. And I was like, that's cool. Like, we can do that. That sounds great. Jonah surprisingly wants to play the flute. But they're four, so that will change, I'm sure.
You know, like at least 50 more times. But those are moments that like I'm sitting there playing tuba, and my daughter's giving me a hug, and it's just like the best feeling.
Yeah.
Because like that, once again, my passion with my passion is like my worlds are coming together, and that's just something that like I wouldn't be able to do that at like a 9 to 5 job.
Well, Joel also got to come to symphonic band rehearsal this morning.
Yeah, and he had a good old time.
He had a great time. He loves music, and
apparently,
yeah, he liked it. He was listening to some Let Me Be Frank.
So we had Baby in the band hall. You know, someone who I admire a whole lot with his work-life balance is Wiley Gore.
Yep.
Wiley Gore and his wife, Paige Gore. Paige is a realtor. She used to be a band director. But they have 4 boys, and I think they're all underneath the age of 5.
I think the oldest one might be a little bit older.
A little bit older?
Yeah, there's a lot of boys in the Gore household.
Yeah, and I know Wiley is really good about establishing his boundary with band time and you know, family time, and I admire that about him, and that is like something that's really, really great. I mean, he just had a birthday, so happy birthday, Wiley. And then like just recently, I'm gonna go ahead and expose this. We have a group chat that's going on between me and several other band directors, and like Wiley's part of it, and like there's a happy birthday happening, but like he didn't respond to a group text for like hours, and because it was after hours, um, you know, after school time, and I knew that he was spending that time with his family, and I think that's great.
Yeah, and he just has his priorities sorted how they need to be.
And they're I mean, his band program is still very successful.
Yeah, he has an excellent band program.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years in a row that they've made the state marching contest, and their culture is great over there. They put on great shows. They
Well,
put on
I said
great
this
concerts.
earlier too, and I think it just boils down to efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and honestly, maybe not everyone's setup is ideal for that, but you're not going to be able to do anything if you're not efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and I think that's something like big schools have like really perfected is like the amount of efficiency they have to have.
I think that
Some of them,
successful big schools
yeah, there you go.
have a lot of. There's a lot of inefficiency places.
Yeah. Well, it's just like with Brian over at Tenaha, like talking to him. So like he is going to teach every single kid marching fundamentals at that band program. Period. So like he has a rotation where like sectionals are happening and the other group of students is doing marching fundamentals in their gym with him, and then they rotate. And so he is like a control freak in that extent, but like it's that efficiency of rehearsal, and no wonder he's been successful the way he has been. Just using that allotted time as well as you can. But ultimately, the amount of time you put in doesn't always mean that it's going to be equal success.
Well, I tell the kids this a lot too. So like, we can do everything right and still fail, and that's just a life lesson. It's especially true if you're someone who's like taking auditions or something like that. You can have the best audition of your life and still not get the job.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, that's just part of it. And it's unfortunate, but that's, you can do everything right as a band director and still.
Well, there's a tuba player, I believe it's Alan Bear. Alan Bear. So the story goes is that Alan Bear, like, Alan? Nah,
I don't know.
something Bear.
I don't know anything about tubas.
He auditioned like everywhere and just kept on getting rejected. And then just 1 year, I mean, it was his time. He got like all the job offers.
Yeah.
And so I think he plays for the New York Phil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like you have
I
all
guess
of
I'm
these.
not well versed in my tuba players. I know like Sam Plafian, rest in peace. Patrick Sheridan.
Yep.
And then like Gene Picorni and Zach Bridges, and that's all I got for you.
Oyston Bosvik.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
Oyston.
Yeah.
That's just a fun name to say. Oyston.
Yeah, I think Zach taught me all of the words that I just said, but that's fine.
Yeah. So, and that's the other cool thing about like Axtell. Axtell has a small two-way school.
Yes.
And they have a student that graduated from the program, went to Baylor, and is now in.
We graduated in the same class. So Zach and I both graduated from Axtell in 2010, and Zach went to Baylor, and then he went to Rice, and now he is the tuba player for the Pershing's own Army band. And then I just became a band director, so he's out there killing it. But yeah, we graduated in the same graduating class.
So small town America.
Do you want to play a game?
Sure.
Are you sure?
That sounds good.
So we talked about how Jose is a huge rom-com person. So we're gonna play an Ultimate 8 game where I have 8 rom-coms, and we're gonna like, it's like kind of like a bracket, like March Madness, where we're gonna head-to-head rom-coms and come down with a winner.
Yikes.
Okay, so here's the first pairing. Are you ready?
All right.
When Harry Met Sally and 10 Things I Hate About You. I have an answer. We both have to come to an agreement.
Okay.
So I have my answer.
Okay, it's When Harry Met Sally.
That's also my answer.
Yes.
10 Things I Hate About You is...
It's good.
It's good.
It's great. It's Taming of the Shrew.
It doesn't beat When Harry Met Sally. Okay, this is a hard one, and I think we're going to have to discuss this one a little bit.
Okay.
Notting Hill or Pretty Woman?
Pretty Woman.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I didn't think you would agree.
Okay, Pretty Woman. It's just like such a good... I
did not expect your answer.
I do love Notting Hill. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm just a girl.
All the time.
I'm just a girl looking at it. I get it. I get it.
No, but that's not the part of the quote. That's why you don't know the quote. You just said it wrong.
Yeah. So, my quote from Notting Hill is apricots.
Soaked in honey.
Soaked in honey. It's just like the most obscure.
Okay, I'm glad you agree. Pretty Woman is an excellent movie.
Yes.
Okay, this one's also hard.
All right.
The Proposal and You've Got Mail.
Ooh. I'm going to go with The Proposal.
Oh. That's not my first choice.
Okay,
But we can. I also like the proposal. I just feel like You've Got Mail is so iconic.
I do. I would. Oh, okay, I can be swayed. That's an easy sway.
Okay.
I will go with You Got Mail because, like, I also quote.
Doesn't it just make you want to buy school supplies?
Well, the reason I said proposal is because of Betty White.
Well, okay, and that is fair, but she is a small snippet.
Yeah, I know, but when you go
to the window to the wall,
yeah, exactly.
But that's like one. But the whole movie of You've Got Mail is iconic.
Yeah, I quote that too.
It was you. Oh, you do quote that one daily.
Yeah.
Don't cry, shop girl.
Yeah, don't cry, shop girl.
Okay, this is so hard. Okay, My Big Fat Greek Wedding or The Wedding Singer?
Oh, The Wedding Singer.
Really?
The Wedding Singer.
I did not think you were going to say that.
I love Adam Sandler.
I will go with you on that one. I did not expect that to be your answer.
Don't get me wrong.
You also quote My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
I know. I say this. Why you want to leave me? I love that line. But the Wedding Singer.
I make lamb.
I make lamb. Yeah. He's a vegetarian. What do you mean he eats no meat?
I make lamb.
I make lamb.
Yeah. We say that all the time. Okay. So now it's When Harry Met Sally versus Pretty Woman.
Ooh.
I have a choice. I'm going to say When Harry Met Sally.
I'm going to say that as well. Okay. Just because of the full circle aspect.
Yes. Okay. You've Got Mail versus The Wedding Singer.
Oh, that's difficult. I'm
going to say You've Got Mail.
I'm going to go with that as well.
Okay, so now we have When Harry Met Sally versus You've Got Mail, Meg Ryan battle. I also didn't put Sleepless in Seattle on here because you don't like that movie. So
I don't not like that movie.
Well, our son is one of the main characters' names.
Yeah, it's just like it makes me sad.
I know it is sad.
There's too much sadness.
There is a lot of sadness. I have an answer, but
When Harry Met Sally.
That's my answer. Okay. Okay, greatest rom-com.
Yeah,
When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, I think so. Just the cafe scene is so iconic.
Yeah. I mean, the
I'll
whole
have
movie.
what she'll have you.
They did the Super Bowl commercial. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see that commercial.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. You just weren't paying attention. And I said, "Oh, they got Meg Ryan out of retirement."
Oh, that's right. Yep.
And Sydney Sweeney was in it too. Okay, I have another game.
Okay.
Would you rather have a romantic candlelit dinner? Oh, this is Would you rather.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Would you rather have a romantic candlelit dinner at home or go to a fancy restaurant for Valentine's Day? My opinion on this has changed over the years. I would rather stay home.
I think so too, because part of the reason is because I've gotten really good at grilling.
Yes. Like we made a tomahawk for your birthday. It was really good.
Yeah, it was really great.
So I will stay with that. Would you rather receive a heartfelt love letter or a box of chocolates?
Love letter.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, because
I try to get you a card for like every.
Yeah, because like I can keep a card.
Yeah.
And there are several things.
Well,
so like,
keep the chocolates too, just
I'll
on your hips.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so something I'm a little sentimental about. I freaked out.
Is this about your lunchbox?
Yes.
Gem? Okay.
So, Eleanor, we have like these little like pink stones.
They're from her baby shower.
Yeah, so. Baby shower. But she has taken one of these little pink stones, and she put it in my lunchbox, and that was.
She said it's because she loves you.
Yes, and she said it was. I was like, we're penguins.
Yes, like pretty much.
Yeah, that's what she gave me a little stone, and my lunchbox is a Yeti lunchbox. Thank you for the gift.
You're welcome.
And so it has like a magnetic pull together, so it pulls together naturally, and so I didn't realize I didn't zip it, and I've been having this little stone in that lunchbox for like
a long time.
Like it's been a year. That thing has lived in there, and I just refuse to take it out because that's Eleanor's little love stone.
Yeah.
And so I threw my lunchbox onto my passenger seat, and it popped open, and the little stone came flying out. And I was like, no! And they're like, I had to go find it.
I'm glad you found it. Well, that's sweet. She's a sweet girl.
A lunatic, but yes.
Would you rather have me serenade you with a love song or cook you a homemade dinner?
Dinner.
That's my choice too.
I've heard you sing. I'm okay with, and I've eaten your food. Your food is much better.
That is my love language, is making you food. Sorry. Gonna die an early death.
I know. Our school's offering some like vascular
mobile
imaging stuff, and I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I don't know if I told you that.
Oh no, you didn't.
Yeah, and then they're gonna be like, Mr. Sanchez, we're gonna need to send you to the hospital right now.
Yeah, probably.
And it's just gonna be like, oh.
Would you rather work with a band full of enthusiastic but inexperienced students, or a group of talented but sometimes unmotivated students?
A.
That's my choice too. That's basically teaching middle school band.
Yeah, I because the way I'm programmed is to work hard.
It's hard to teach people that aren't motivated.
Yes, that's difficult. Like, I don't understand, like, why don't you just do it? Like, get to work.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard for me, for people
Not
who
even
don't
like
have
the
that
skill. Like, why don't you just do it? It's like, no, like, why haven't you practiced it?
Yeah, like,
when I've given you direction.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Like, I provided all the skills to you.
This is my favorite question on this list. Would you rather win honor band or state marching contest?
I think
I have an answer.
Ooh, I think I would rather win the state marching contest.
I would rather win honor band. I can see why you would want to win the state marching contest. I think that winning honor band is cool because you get like a victory lap. Because your recordings were already like really freaking good.
Yeah.
And then you get to play something else for everyone.
I think the reason I feel that way about marching band is because it takes me out of it.
Yeah, okay, sure.
I think that winning state marching band it's a different experience for the students. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that the honor band process is not any less in this, but there's something about seeing students perform like on
the venue,
and then like just the pop and the excitement and like this whole entire like aura and just feeling that comes off them is different than
the crowd is different at state marching contest than it is in
because well, and that's the other thing is that because I've been fortunate enough to be part of an honor band performing ensemble, and that was fantastic. But
it's different
being at state marching contest and like making finals is very like that experience. Like our band booster president was like crying, and like the pop,
everyone was probably
the pop from the kids when we told them, well, because we went ahead and told them because we were gonna be one of the first groups to perform, so we had to pull them out and feed them and do all this stuff real fast. But the pop that they had and that energy and that feeling, I will never be able to recreate. Yeah. Like it was like the same feeling of like making state marching the contest the first time as the head director of Red Gatesville.
Oh yeah.
Like hugging Victor Garza.
There's
and
a
like,
picture of it.
Yeah, and that feeling I will never be able to get back. And then like making finals, I will never be able to get that feeling back. And like winning honor band, yeah, that's a feeling that I hope maybe one day I'll get, maybe not, probably not, just because the percentages are like real low and there's some fantastic bands out there. But like that feeling, like I think is a little bit different because it's not as, I'm going to say this, as student centered as much as the marching band aspect.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because like when marching band goes, it is students leading the way with drum majors and like the cues. I mean, the rules are like the band director is not involved.
Yeah.
And with honor band, you were up there having guest clinician or guest conductors and all this kind of other stuff. And like, that's a great, great, great thing. It's just different. And I just think too,
I'm just not as passionate about marching band as you are. I love marching band, but you know, I would rather do the honor band thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, really, the person asked on that
Brian Sowers. We'll have to call Brian up. I have a question for the band Yappers. I guess we're the Yappers.
Yeah, we're
the Yapperverse. Jose and I's 10-year anniversary is in June. In July. We're trying to take a trip in June. That's why I said June.
Yeah, okay.
Our anniversary's in July. We're trying to take a trip in June, somewhere in Texas. Where should we go? We've looked at, like, we wanted to go to Big Bend and stay in one of those caves, but I think it's too far away and for the amount of time that we would have because we have children that won't be going. But still, that means somebody else is watching them. So we've looked at Marble Falls, Fredericksburg, whatever. If you have any suggestions, call us, text us, write us, Instagram us.
Yeah. Is there any like real final things you want to talk about?
I don't think so. This is taking us all the way to San Antonio, if you can believe it.
Oh.
So.
But yeah, if you're listening and you're be transparent with your partner, your significant other. Make sure you outline the demands of the job and set your boundaries.
Support each other.
Support each other because like it's a team, and we are here to support each other in that team because like if Alexa wins, I win. If I win, Alexa wins. If her failures are my failures and my failures are her failures. And that's one of the things that I think that has helped me understand how our relationship works in our workplace and how it works outside of the workplace as well. And I think we've been much better about it. But we've had many arguments, we've had many fight and disagreements about kind of where the boundaries are at and being able to process those things. And like we got into a disagreement, like we said earlier in this discussion, about something that she got on my nerves about. And in hindsight, I was just trying to share my feelings, and she disarmed me with her tears.
She's just snippy sometimes,
Yeah.
Also, if people tell you they don't fight, they're lying. They just don't. They just don't confront each other.
And I am very good at confronting.
And I'm not. Again, I crumple under confrontation. So, well, happy Valentine's Day. I love you, Jose.
I love you too.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Bye. You're going to say we out?
We out.